Hey, John.
Hey, hey!
So
Happy
today's
Friday!
today's topic is on Sentosa.
Singapore's most popular island.
So when I tell you about Sentosa, what comes to mind?
The fee that I have to pay to get in.
Well, I'm thinking of the sun, sand, and the
uh,
sea.
wow, very STB, are you?
Ah,
Okay.
and I got a
And what
song for
song
you.
does that remind you of?
Very good. I'm glad you asked, huh? Because the boys were all speculating what song I'm going to be singing today. So since it's about the
Mm,
beach, I'm going to do one by the Beach Boys.
nice.
This one is Kokomo, but with a little bit of a twist.
Oh, okay. Coco twist. Okay, come.
Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I want to take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica, off to Singapore. There's a place called Sentosa. That's where you wanna go to get away from it all. Bodies in the sand, tropical drinks melting in your hand. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of a steel drum band down in Sentosa.
Oh, Miss B, go away, don't disturb me. I have done no wrong, just go away and let me be. My mother and father, they wanting me with their story. Oh, Miss B, go away, don't disturb me. Love and me, you are not the ones that hate and you. Miss B, go away, don't disturb me. I have done no wrong, just go away and let me be. My mother and father, they owing me their story. Miss B, go away, don't disturb me.
I really don't feel good. We're getting a
Is anyone here?
What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions. Good Friday evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Live with us, your host. My name is Eugene Tay.
I'm Jonathan Lim.
And
And
today,
tonight we're going on holiday.
I was thinking of
Short
wearing
holiday lah.
I thought wearing
Overseas.
my floral shirt and my hat.
It's nice. It's a good time for staycay.
Hmm. So usually we
Yeah.
will feature a guest every other week. I thought today, you
Mm.
know what? Why not feature an entire island? So I think some of the episodes coming up, you can expect featured locations as
That's
well.
nice. You've always wanted to do that, right? You want to do like this whole haunted map of Singapore, right?
Oh, go by
So,
Bedok, Katong,
yeah.
Siglap,
So
Yishun.
let's give it a try. Some estates will have more than others, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, today's first comers are Maureen again. Okay, I think Maureen is like sweeping the awards. Okay,
You know why?
every other week is Maureen.
Alsatian came in at 3:15. Maureen was already there.
Sorry, Maureen is chasing Alsatian all around the place. Still not first, he says. Yeah. So the two of you work it out. Okay.
And there's Aber for third place.
Oh, not bad, not bad,
League
not bad.
of
League of
Angel.
Angels. Ah.
And
He
Hillian
says
and
now Sentosa need to pay money to enter. COVID time free goes, also free entry.
Ah.
But talking about it is free. Okay, so
Mm.
tonight enjoy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
And fifth is Jillian Fernandez.
nice. Is this a new name?
Ooh.
Amok Door. Hello,
Yes.
can finally listen to you guys live. Oh, hello, welcome.
There's a Shakazu as well. I think this is the second time I've seen a Shakazu on the
Okay. Anna May is here. Nikki is here.
Nikki.
Kang Ji is saying raw because you think you are Carlos Cole. Okay.
I love the raw thing. You know how the raw started, right?
No, I don't.
Don't know. Okay, so a little background on the raw. I used to tease the audience with part 1 and part 2. And then Carlos Cole will be the one who was always like, "Whoa!" And he will lead the charge into stop giving us part 1 and part 2, like finish up the damn
I
story,
see.
damn it. So that's how the raw came about.
But is Carlos Cole here today? Someone is stealing your raw. So,
Maybe they have a whole
okay.
community, like like a group chat of. So if Carlos cannot make it, who's gonna take over the? Make sure that Eugene and John don't go into part 2.
Right, substitute raw. Okay,
Yeah.
Sean Lim is here. Shakatze is here. Elvin Sensei. Elwin Sensei.
Elvin Sensei. Okay, so guys, stay tuned for tonight's featured confession. Elvin, who was a guest with his wife Joey a few episodes ago, is featuring his confessions today because
Nice.
his story is about the Wax Museum. And
what
was really interesting-
I've heard this. Yes. Okay.
because he said that he kept these stories and experiences to himself for the last 10 years. He didn't even tell his wife. And when he saw one of our confession by Sito was talking about his experience in the Wax Museum.
Oh no, that's the one I heard. Okay, I heard the Sito one. Okay,
Ah,
okay. So
so
I don't know Elvin's one. Okay.
Elvin works in a company that deals with the Wax Museum, that they have to go in at night after closing hours to fix up the electronics, to touch up things. So very interesting one. Reggie Malayans is here. Sean Lim.
Vincent QK. That seems new. Hello, Vincent. Are you new? Please say hi. Please say hola if you are new. Okay. Also, anyone who's overseas, please let us know how far we are going tonight.
Elia Mona Lisa.
Kenny Polaris. Hello, that's a name I haven't seen in a while. Hello. Jenny Chua. Hello, Jenny. Night Owl. Wow. Okay. Sleepy Healer. Okay. A lot of regulars.
Elaine
also.
pretending to be Aussie.
Where?
Good day, SCFM.
Hanjay is here. Is this the same Hanjay who has one of tonight's
I
confessions?
believe so, yes.
Ooh, okay.
Ajay, we are
okay.
giving your confessions,
Nice.
narrating your confessions tonight.
So later you must answer questions, okay, Hanjay? Dashayani. Hello, Dashayani. Frankie. Wow. Isabella Rosta. Oh, Isabella Rosta says, I used to work in Sentosa, so I have some stories to share too.
Please do.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Zone Nava. That's new. Hi, Zone. Or is it Zone? I don't know. Which do you prefer? Zacchaeus Leong. Wow, Zacchaeus is a nice name.
Zacchaeus. He's like there's 2 other Zacks before him. Zacchaeus is the Zacchaeus.
Wow, I like this name. Borneo Shutter Click.
What's the new name?
Sarawakian, hello.
Oh, Peter Burton. Hello, Peter. Good day. Good day, mate.
Oh. Wow, so interesting. Okay.
A lot of new names today. Premier Mitsu.
Yeah.
Mitsui.
Sai Prasad. Is that new also? Wow, so exciting. Okay,
Deslin.
ZP Matt is here from Germany. Hello.
Josman Suri, also new name.
Wow,
Sharon
exciting,
Velu, also new. I think all these people working in Sentosa, is it? Trying to
yeah,
check in on
maybe,
us. How many, guys, how many of you are working in Sentosa? Please let us know.
Or have worked in Sentosa before. Yeah, please let us know. Wow, a lot of new names, lah. Team Z is. Oh, hi guys, I'm back. Who's Team Z?
Sorry, this is Han J. The confession is Hadi J.
Oh, Hadij. Oh, okay. Not you. Okay.
Ezekiel K. Okay, Ezekiel is Sito, so he's here tonight.
Hello.
Hello, Eugene. What's Sentosa Confession Night without me? That's right. Easy, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Easy's in the house. He's in the chat room. He is our very first whistleblower for Sentosa. All the confessions. Give it up for this guy. He's a legend in
Alright.
SC. And Easy has actually joined us on a lot of private tours and
Oh,
exploration.
nice.
Very nice
I
guy.
know. Nice. I need to pee. Says I used to work at W Hotel. Oh, okay.
Oh,
We haven't done a hotel episode yet, so let's save that up. Okay, so I need
yes,
to
we
pee.
have. We have done it.
When? Oh yeah, we do.
We-
Oh yes, you and your corner room. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I
yeah.
remember. Okay, I think there's certainly more.
Okay.
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 So I think
Okay.
I think everyone should get into the habit of letting letting Eugene know wherever the hell you've worked in the past because we will now slot you according to your career.
Please
Okay.
declare career and declare location
Yeah.
where you are staying.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you just put like add that to your YouTube name lah, like KK King, then occupation like that. Okay. Eugene Au is here also. Hello, Eugene.
Eugene Ao just received
Yes.
his Confess T-shirt today.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Dushanta P. It's been a while since I tuned in. Well, welcome
Wow,
back,
welcome back.
Dushanta. Okay,
Menosista,
Lincoln.
not the first time Josman says hello, hello. We will recognize that name from now on. Josman.
Wow. Okay, very exciting, very exciting. Okay.
Okay.
What made you choose Sentosa, Eugene?
So I had so be a bit behind the scenes how I run the confession, guys. So you probably be wondering, why is this Eugene every week after week, with all these confessions? I am sitting on thousands of confessions. And obviously when the confessions come in text, it's not always very easy and it's very time consuming to
Mm,
select, to curate, to categorize, and of course to edit to
yeah.
make it readable. Because
Mm,
when confessions come in, they aren't always ready to be read out and
yeah.
with impact. And sometimes some of these come in point form or in bits and pieces
Mm,
all over WhatsApp.
mm,
So this year, because I've dedicated full time attention to SC, I
mm,
actually have the time to sift through all
mm,
these confessions, and then I put them into categories like hotels, toilets, camps, and I found that
mm.
as I was going through my list, Sentosa seemed to pop up quite a bit.
Right.
And I thought to myself, hey, we haven't done in Sentosa, even though Sentosa is like every Singaporean knows, like, okay, Sentosa
Okay lah. Is the only island that everyone knows lah,
and
right?
Pulau Ubin also lah.
Yeah.
That's
Ubin, not as many people know. The younger generation do not know Ubin.
is it?
Yeah, it's not. It's far less exciting than Sentosa to your average Singaporean. There's less
Yeah.
to see. There's less to
Oh,
see,
okay,
right?
okay.
Only the older generation knows, or the ones who like cycling, right? Yeah, But Sentosa, you have a million reasons to go, ma.
Okay. So before we
Yeah.
start our first confession, which I
Mm.
will be reading it out, I want to say a big thank you to our patrons.
Yes.
So let's take it away. Our patrons are Sentient Entities tier. We have Chua Elaine, Alsatian Aiden Chua, Mco Green, ZP Matt. Thank you very much for your patronage. And also in the Wandering Spirits category, we have Karina J, Joel Go, Deborah Cornfield, Chia King To, VL, and Restless Souls. We have Tosu Chia, Grace Chai, Candy Chia, Ron, Linda Hayden, Jack Ong, Kenny Polaris. If you are interested in being a patron of Supernatural Confessions, go to patreon.com/supernatural confessions. So thank you very much, patrons. Of course, I have some surprise for you guys. Exclusive content that doesn't get aired to public.
Oh.
Yeah.
So please consider joining the Patreons, all right? Because definitely all the support, no matter how large or small, goes towards number one, making Eugene feel very appreciated, which is, I think, the most important thing. But
Yeah.
number two, also, yes, helps to defray the costs of running all this, right? Yeah.
I met somebody today. Speaking of
Oh,
feeling
who?
appreciated, he didn't
Mm.
mention his name. Was he saw me across the table and he just like he's it
Ah,
was quite creepy lah. He was like,
ghost lah, for sure, ghost.
no, he was a guy. And
What does that mean? It was a guy, so cannot be ghost.
no lah. Yes, he was beckoning to me lah, but he did the whole. So it's like, am I getting picked up? Well, like, thank you.
Okay.
So he said, he watched the show and he really loved the podcast and everything. I've been getting some
Mm.
messages from people as well saying they listen to the podcast and big fans of the show. So thank you very much, you guys, for coming up to me in public. I know it's not easy; it's quite scary, and I look very intimidating. But actually, I'm very happy lah.
I agree with Donnie Darwin, who say it's a jinn waving you to come. See, I agree because you always want to talk about jinn, right? So the jinn now. Thanks for featuring us in every episode and every analysis.
The
Okay,
G's also tuning in.
let's see if any jinns manage to be dragged into tonight's
Mm.
discussion. Okay, let's see. All right,
Yeah.
let's do a count the jinn. No, it should be a drinking game. Every time Eugene thinks it's a jinn, we should all drink.
Take a shot. All right. So we get on with
Okay.
the first
So
confession.
yeah, actually, someone already gave us a starting point. Abun
Ah.
said that he always feels uneasy whenever we venture into Fort Siloso, even in broad daylight.
Ooh.
And of course, Fort Siloso is one of the greatest and most familiar landmarks, right, on Sentosa. And actually, I've not been there for so freaking long.
Mm.
You know, I think childhood, I think probably a school trip, because I have not been back there as an adult,
Mm.
right? And one of the reasons I wanted to go back there was
Mm.
because a few years before the big Halloween Horror Nights thing began,
Mm.
right? It was at Fort Siloso, right? That the
Correct.
sort of big Halloween scare adventure
Before
thing was.
USS was around, Spectacular at Fort Siloso was the main
Yeah.
attraction.
What was it called? Spectacular.
Spectacular.
Sentosa Spectacular. That's right.
Mm.
Yeah. You know, and I always wanted to go, then I missed out. You know, and then they stopped. Right. I guess there was no room for two spectaculars at the same time.
In
So
fact, when USS first opened its doors and they ran Halloween Horror Nights, Spectacular was still also running in tandem.
Oh, for how long?
I think 1 or 2 years. But
okay, yeah.
when before USS was around, Spectacular was the big brother in terms of its level of intricacies with the scare and the
I mean, it
design of the
sounds
house.
perfect because you have a place that's already spooky, right? You know, Abun says even in the daytime it spooks him.
Mm.
So you know what better place to do a spectacular, right? Because it's one of those places where you have like you hire 50 scare actor, but you get 100 scare, right? And that's exactly what tonight's
Big bang for
confession
your
is
buck.
about.
Before I tell this confession, so maybe for some of our audience who is not in Singapore, you want to give them a bit of a rundown what Fort Siloso is about?
Well, I'll give you a rundown of Sentosa in general.
Mm.
Right, you know, because I think you're right. Okay, there's a bit of foundational knowledge, right? So Sentosa, of course, is actually the nearest island to Singapore. It's literally like across a causeway. Currently, it is a tourist island, right? There are cable cars, there's a resort, there's casinos, right? There's also a lot of history on the island, right? Simply because, like all of the islands in Singapore, they were once inhabited. There were 3 famous kampongs on the island. Right, and one of the kampongs actually shared a name with the actual island. We will go into the name later on because that's going to be a big thing that I want to discuss. Okay, but yes, so lots of kampongs, and then of course, unfortunately, during the Japanese occupation, it became a detention camp for prisoners of war. So there's a lot of stuff there. But both before and after the 2 world wars, it was a British military base also. And hence the lots of forts on the island, right? Fort Serapong, Fort Siloso, etc. You know, and so you can imagine how the many ghost stories come. You have old kampong ghosts, you have British ghosts, you have Japanese ghosts. So there's a lot of richness on that tiny little island, right? And then of course, then the government took it back, you know, and then we tried to clear it. And now it's very spanking new, but the old buildings are still there. The old forts are still hidden all over the island. There's even a fort that's like underneath the golf course kind of thing, you know. So it's a great place for people who are interested in archaeology and treasure seeking, and of course, ghost hunting lah, right? So that's a snapshot of Sentosa. Okay.
Okay. Now with that in mind, you know the different layers and tapestries of Sentosa. Let us start with our very first confession for tonight. This is by IA, and it's titled Scare Actors Equals Scared Actors. This confession took place in 2014 at Sentosa's Halloween horror event titled Spectacular. It was also the last time that they organized this event. Many people are not aware that there are prayers and blessing rituals conducted prior to running such an event. However, there are no guarantees that a haunting won't take place. I was assigned as a scare actor in one of the haunted trails that was situated up a hill. People had to climb up a steep incline to enter the main trail. There were some actors stationed along the way, but they weren't as intense as the ones on the main trail. I was in an area that wasn't that dark, but it was still really spooky in dim light. There was a door for us to exit to the back if we needed to leave the trail. This is the kind of door that can only be opened from the inside. From where I was standing, waiting for the guests to come in, I saw the door opening and closing by itself. I thought to myself, our area is enclosed and there was only a ventilation fan which is far from the door. It won't be possible that a draft of air caused the heavy door to open and shut by itself. This definitely looks like someone actually pushing against it. In my heart, I knew this must be something supernatural at work. I said out loud, I'm here to work. Please don't disturb me, Ken. The door closed and did not open again. In another incident, I overheard a guest talking about how the three scare actors really spooked her out, but the thing was in that in my station, there were only two scare actors. Where did the third one come from? I decided to keep this from my partner as I'm not sure she would be strong enough to handle this news. If you had attended Spectacular, you might recall that for one of the horror trail attractions, there's a lift at the main entrance where it's filled with fake cockroaches and a scare actor. But instead of a lift door, they use a curtain to cover the entrance. If you had wondered why they did that, here's the story. The door would keep breaking down only at night for no reason. The maintenance crew would come in to check but cannot find anything wrong. During the day, the door would be working fine. In the end, they just decided to go with curtains instead. There's also another incident where I saw an actor walking past me, heading in the wrong direction. So I called out to her and asked if she was going to the rest area for a break, but the person just kept knocking her head and walking. I turned to my partner to check with her, but she said she didn't see anyone. When I turned back, the actor was gone. What was weird was that we were not supposed to go by the main entrance as the break room is actually at the back. So who was that person I saw? Then one night, the whole area blacked out and we were told to use torches to continue the scare while they fixed the circuits. When I did a head count for our station, I counted 4 people when it was supposed to be only 3. 2 actors and 1 guide crew. I counted a few times but still got 4. I decided to ignore it and continue with the show. After the lights came on, I did a head count again, and this time we got the correct number. With all the complaints of sightings from the crew and some of the guests, management decided to re-bless the whole trail again. And this time, crew members with no religious protection of their own were given something to prevent any more bad vibes. Despite all the supernatural experiences, I enjoy playing the role of scare actor very much. I saw guests actually pee their clothes. There's also a macho-looking guy who ran off and left his girlfriend on her own. It was always the most fun to see how those top big act macho guys actually are the first to get scared. By the way, my partner was a disbeliever or non-believer before this experience. But after this, working as a scare actor, he has made her a believer.
I have not had a chance to be a scare actor, right? But I mean, I've talked a lot to one of our community members, Oliver Young, who I think currently is also going to be a scare actor this year.
Every year he signs
right?
up for
Every
USS
year
scare
he
actor.
loyal, right? And but I cannot imagine how freaky it must be, right? You know, to be in a place that is definitely haunted, right? Whether or not you're at Fort Siloso or whether you're at USS, which, you know, it's not haunted because it's USS, but it's haunted because it's the same island.
Yes.
You know, so there's no way to avoid, right? You know, but it must be quite an exciting experience. I think someday we can do a spectacular episode also, which is all about scare actors.
I think
You
Ezekiel
know?
also was a scare actor. In his
Oh,
confession on YouTube. Go check it out. Type
see,
Sentosa.
you're asking for trouble, all right? You know, but I mean, to me, it's exciting because whenever you do something that is about them, right? If you try to recreate the scares or you tell the stories, you know, you're always gonna draw their attention, right? Regardless of what you are, what the medium is, right? So
Yeah.
you know, whether or not it's us walking along Changi telling stories, or whether it's scare actors trying to, you know, become fearful, you know, you draw their attention because they're so curious of what you're doing. Are you maligning me? Are you representing me well? Do I need to sue you? You know, the ghost will come and caper for sure. You know, have you ever come across that kind of experience?
As a scare actor? Oh,
or scare actor type stories.
well, I was a scare actor back in uni days as well. I think KK Heng is a scare actor in uni days.
Oh,
And
is
and
orientation that type, is it?
yeah lah,
Or
but it was not as
ah.
scary lah. It's just dark areas and we just scare people. Uh, I think in fact when the people reacting and punching us in the face was scarier lah back then. So I always found that the
Ah.
Fort Siloso is very eerie. In fact,
Mm.
Fort Siloso itself has tons of stories. And
Mm.
if you wonder why I did not delve into all these Fort Siloso stories, because I didn't get any first-hand account from anyone
Ah.
working at Fort Siloso. So there's a lot of stories from Fort Siloso, but none that I can actually get firsthand.
Mm.
But I remember once when I talked to someone, and this was way back.
Ah.
The reason why they actually screw this no, sorry, this was from Ezekiel actually. The reason why they screw the tables and chairs to the ground is because in Fort Siloso tables and chairs can move, and you hear the thing like grr, grr, and the security will come in and the chairs
Oh.
and tables will move around, and that's the reason why they screw it to the ground and fix it.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Maybe because those historical diorama, right?
Mm.
They're trying to like show you like the surrender of Singapore or that, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe they put the thing wrongly, ma. So the spirits are like, no, the table was not here. You
Bagheero,
know?
what is
Ah,
this? This is not how it was.
correct.
Then they shift it for you.
See, I mean, ghosts can be very stubborn when it comes to historical
Yeah.
accuracy, right? I mean, okay, so forts, okay, I mean, there's so many forts on the island, it'd be interesting to hear what the stories are of the older
Ah,
forts, right? Because Fort
since
Siloso is the best well known because it's actually converted to a tourist site, right?
since
But there
you
are
asked
some
about this,
ulu ones, right? Is
correct.
Serapong the one that is under the golf course?
That's
I think
right.
so,
Not
right?
under the golf course.
Ah,
It's actually on the hill near beside the golf course.
ah,
Sarapong. I will
and
tell
it's
you
not
about.
open to public. It's
Yes.
not open to public. Yeah.
I was there and I can
Oh,
share with you some personal experience about Sarapong.
oh.
But before that,
Mm.
because I
Before
think
that.
it's important to let people know how they can
Oh.
support the show, and also if they want to,
Sure.
uh, guys, because the comments are really going fast and furious, and if we missed your questions and we don't get to voice them out, right?
Mm.
You can actually hit the dollar sign below and make a donation, and we will
Yeah.
actually get your message, big and bold, yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
also
call
also
super chat, but we call
super
it
chat.
supernatural chat. Okay.
That was very nice. Also, I created a little nice ad, and
Oh.
if you're interested in being a patron or helping out with buying us a coffee, well, have a listen to this very short advertisement. Thank you for listening to the Supernatural Confessions podcast. If you are enjoying the show and would like to support our efforts, you can help by giving us a 5-star review or by becoming a patron by signing up for a monthly membership fee that starts from as low as $5. Check out the perks at patreon.com/supernaturalconfessions. That's patreon.com/supernaturalconfessions. Or if you feel like showing a simple gesture of appreciation, you can buy us a cup of coffee or two at buymeacoffee.com/superconfess. Wow, check out the advertisement now.
So slick. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. I want to hear stories of Serapong.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Serapong, before it was open to public, was actually
Hmm.
hidden near the 1 degree 15 area. Or is it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you got to go by before you go into 1 degree 15. There's a slope up. And
Okay.
you take the slope up all the way to the very top. It's not closed. It is not chain or barred or fenced up, so you can walk in. But it's not advisable for people to walk in. They actually have signs that says danger, please keep out. And for good reasons. That whole place was crumbling. Like bricks were, precariously just hinged on two ends of the supporting beam. And when we were there for the Supernatural Confessions recon team, back then when I was doing Secrets of Sembawang, Secrets of Keppel, Reservoirs, the Secret series, which was very, very intense and takes a lot of time to film and edit, which was why we kind of stopped because there's a lot of commitment involved. And Singapore, a lot of places is trespass and out of bounds to us. Serapong has multiple entrances into tunnels.
Yeah, of course. It's a fort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting is that entire area, when you walk there,
Mm.
you get the heebie-jeebies, the vibe of that place. It's as if
Mm.
you are, when the minute you walk up the hill and you walk
Mm.
into the threshold of the place, it's
Mm.
a different place. The sound is different, the temperature is different.
Mm.
It's almost as if an entire different world. And when we were there for the first time, my cameraman
Mm.
dropped his camera because he turned around while swimming and he got shocked and he dropped it. And what he saw, right, but we didn't really get to catch because as he was panning, it was just all blur,
Right.
was a ape like long limbs, shadowy creature that
Mm.
leapt not from tree to tree, but from the stone structure to a stone structure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the area where the cannon was.
Right.
So we went in, we checked it out, and our EMF meter just went off. We didn't get any EVP. So Melvin, his birthday was just 2 days ago. So happy birthday, Melvin. He was panicking. He's like, "Can we go now, guys? Can we go now?" And then we're like, "No, no, no. We are here already. We climb up the hill. Let's go further in." Now, one of the area that I felt was the most strongest in terms of the energy is
Mm.
the empty reservoir or the empty water tank, the
Okay.
water catchment area. So you
Mm.
climb down,
Mm.
and it's actually a huge room. Your torchlight cannot reach the end.
Right.
So when you move your torchlight around, you just get this beam of light, but it points to the darkness.
Wow. Okay.
So in that area is where I felt there were things. It was there, and we are trespassing,
Mm.
intruding into their area.
Right.
We got scratches. So one of the reasons, like we said, okay, maybe you just walk through the branch and something scratches, but
Mm.
through our clothes, kind of.
Mm.
And as we were walking down, it was not a very big place, right? It's a hilly area. The view is very nice. It's very easy to walk in and out. In fact, you just walk straight in one direction, you can get out. We couldn't find our way out.
Ah.
We kept walking, and then we enter into a clearing that has no entrances and exit. Then we walk out again the other side because there were folk in the road. So maybe we took the wrong side. We went to the other side. We appear back at another dead end with no entrances or exit.
So maybe the Bunyan have taken over already.
I believe that spot could be a Bunyan area actually, because as I said, when I walk into it, the energy feels different and all that. It could be a Bunyan place, out of bounds. So one of the ways that we taught to get out of such a situation when ghosts cover your eyes is to pee at the crossroads area, or
Right.
pluck out cut a small plant and turn it upside down.
Turn it upside down.
Using it as a wand.
Okay.
So, and then Chichi says he was taught to sit down and smoke a cigarette
Oh.
as offering.
Ah,
So we did
okay,
all three.
okay.
We did all three.
Oh. And something must have worked lah.
Then we walked. And then when we finished smoking, finished peeing, and we looked back again, then we saw an exit like we didn't see before.
Mm.
It's like, okay, no one questioned anything. We just bashed our way through and got out of the place.
So some of the people in the chat are asking, "Are you sure, Eugene, pee in the forest?" Right? Okay. So
Yeah.
it sounds counterintuitive because one of the things that gets you in trouble is peeing in the forest. Okay, but I think in this case you're talking about peeing at the
The
crossroads.
crossroads.
Yeah. So please do not
Ah.
pee on a tree or on a rock. Okay, because then you will cause a different set of problems. Okay, but yeah, pee on the crossroad because there is no hantu of the crossroad. Okay, no hantu living in the crossroad.
Actually,
So,
not true. Even in the English mythology and Chinese mythology, the crossroads is the biggest vortex for spirits.
but they're different. No one lives there. So,
one
so
lives
you
there,
want you
yeah.
can pee. Yeah, you can pee because it belongs to nobody.
Yes,
okay, it's like a
yes.
public pool. Okay, go ahead. All right,
Pee,
but
grass,
do not,
wand, and cigarettes. Okay, noted.
yeah, okay, but do not pee on trees and rocks. Okay, because those can have entities living in them. Right. Yeah. So good. So Serapong is I'm curious now. So can we wander into Serapong today or is it sealed up?
Well, I understand that it's actually open to public. So I believe that what was open to public is the tunnel area, because the tunnel is even back then they had
Right.
curated walks through the tunnel. But you don't get to see the other cool places where it's frankly
Right.
more haunted.
Of course. Oh. So okay, big thank you to Ariel
Mm.
who used her super chat just to tell us she's late. So I love that. Okay, all latecomer must pay money. Okay, please start a tradition. Okay, and Brian Hudgens, hello, that sounds like a new name, has also given us a
Thank you,
donation.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. So again, I mean, if you do have something that you want to contribute and you want us to read it out, you don't want us to miss it, please make a small donation. No amount is too small,
Mm.
all right? Because there's so much chat going on. We're gonna miss you guys
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so all right, so what do you think was haunting Serapong? So one option, okay, is that the Bunyan have taken over, right? Or not even taken over, but it was built on Bunyan territory.
Mm.
So there's no reason why, right? If this is a Bunyan highway, it will still be a highway no matter what you try to build on it, right?
Mm.
Because the Bunyan will just pass right through. But what else?
I
Did you
think it's
get a
nature
sense?
spirit. Nature spirit.
Or nature?
Yeah,
So not
because
not from the war,
no lah, no lah.
no?
Ayo, everything so World War Two. No
Huh? No
lah.
soldier, no marching
These
marching
poor
boots, no, don't
Japanese
have
soldiers, no, like never die. They never get to go back. Or no, no lah, not
So
everything.
I found out something interesting, right? So
Yeah.
those of you who are interested in the military history, and some of you have been talking about, how the guns pointed the wrong way and all that stuff,
Mm.
right? So okay, I mean, Sentosa, of course, was a fortification
Mm.
very early on, right? As soon as the British were here, they already went, okay, we need to build up this place, right?
Mm.
So from 1600s onwards, it was pretty much just kampong, right?
Mm.
From 1800s onwards, right, it was military,
Mm.
right? And it continued to be so all the way until independence and STB was born. Then it ceased being military. So it only was very useless during World War II because they were facing the wrong way, right? That's
Yeah.
that's very true. But
Mm.
otherwise, it was on permanent standby all the time. There
Mm.
were many troops and their families billeted on the island. Okay, so it was a military island, right? And it was sort of on high alert at all times. Okay, and in fact, there was more damage than I realized because I found out that in January 1942,
Mm.
Belakang Mati was bombed. Okay, Sentosa was heavily bombed, 100 over bombs on one
Mm.
island. So that's a hell of a lot. Okay,
Mm.
so that makes me very curious because there are these few forts that are still standing today, right?
Mm.
How much was destroyed and totally cleared away?
Labrador itself got the Labrador
Mm.
battery, and there are other tunnels
No, but
as
as
well.
in, you imagine dropping 100 bombs on Sentosa.
Oh, means
How
there's a lot
many
of
other
forts.
buildings and
Yes.
forts and fortifications and other military sort of, I don't know, structures
Mm.
were wiped out, leaving only the 4 or 5 that are there today,
I'm thinking,
right?
right, the Imbiah
Mm,
location where Imbiah is right now must be
mm.
one of the with the
Okay,
highest
Imbiah.
depth.
So Imbiah, okay, unfortunately, is still standing. So it wasn't even bombed. They managed to miss the whole mountain, right? Imbiah is the tallest hill, I believe, on
Mm.
Sentosa.
You
Okay,
would you
and
would put a fort there on the tallest part of the.
of course, it makes sense. But
Mm.
again, if it's still facing the wrong direction, lah, okay. But the Imbiah, there's no fort there. It's too small for a fort. Imbiah
Mm.
is quite a small hill. But the Imbiah battery is
Mm.
there. It's open to the public. You can go
Mm.
out and have a look, right? You can see where the battlements were. There's even an underground area that you can go into, but you're not allowed to go in because there are sparrows nesting there. So it's a conservation site, right? But it's
Just
quite
a
exciting.
cover up lah.
Ah,
Conservation site is a cover up.
sure. It's sparrows plus hantu, okay, are breeding there. Okay, but it's very interesting. Okay, so my experience with Imbia, right,
Mm.
is that I did a show there, right, years ago, not years ago, a lifetime ago before COVID, right?
Actually, I want you to save that story for after the next confession.
Oh, okay,
Huh?
okay,
I think
okay,
because
okay.
that one I know because I was there and I want to talk about it
Okay,
too. But before that, let's get to the next confession first
okay,
because this has a lot to do with pantang, and I think that segues nicely to your story as well.
okay,
Okay, John, you ready? This
sure.
one is about taking photos in threes and is confession by last chapter.
This is my first time posting here. Was thinking if I should share this. Sharing this because my boyfriend is telling me to share it because it's interesting. This happened back in 2012 when I was in Sec 4. It was New Year's Eve, and my friends and I decided to go to Vivo City to celebrate and hang out together. There were 5 of us. After the countdown, we decided to take some photos before heading back home. We went to the Sentosa boardwalk to take some photos together. I'm quite afraid of ghosts, as I've had nightmares since I was young, almost every day until my family moved house. My mom never believed in the nightmares, so I was naturally the most pantang in my friend group. One of my friends suggested that the 3 of us should take a photo together. I tried to dissuade them because I've heard that in a superstitious belief, taking photos in trees can invite spirits to join you. But my group, mostly young people, did not believe in such old wives' tales. After some persuasion, I gave in because I didn't want to be a party pooper. We took a number of photos, shared them in our WhatsApp group, and then went home. Everything was normal up to this point. It was almost a week later when my friends started to spam our WhatsApp group. Apparently, one of them wanted to post one of the photos we took that night on Instagram, but because the photo was pretty dark, she edited it to make it brighter, only to realize there was something behind us in the photo. Lo and behold, it was the photo of three of us in a group. I'm the one in the middle, and there was an apparition standing behind me. I panicked. I was at work at that time, and my colleagues consisted of older aunties and uncles who told me quickly go to the temple and pray. They also told me to delete the photo, but my boyfriend told me I should share it with the Supernatural Confessions community. Just to confirm that the photo was not edited just to scare me, I went back to the original photo and brightened it myself, and I saw the apparition for myself. The first photo is the original photo taken. The second one has a brightness enhanced so you can see what I'm talking about. Of course, the photo quality dropped a lot when I uploaded it to Facebook, but from my phone, I can see a translucent figure of a lady in a toga type dress, her hair in a bun, and her mouth hanging wide open.
Ah,
Ooh.
imagine
we have?
Malayans
There
kekehing
we.
all the no picture, no talk people. Nah, got picture for you all. Photograph here.
Ooh, is that the dark one or the
This is the
enhanced
dark
photo?
one. I just wanted you
Okay.
to see the beautiful
Cannot
lakes.
see anything lah.
Correct lah.
Cannot see. Cannot see.
Enjoy
Cannot
the
see.
lakes
No.
lah.
Huh?
Big hot
No,
girl
not
sitting on the
nice.
stairs. Not nice.
Not nice. Not nice. Cannot see anything.
Yeah, now
Okay.
we're gonna
Enhance. Enhance.
enhance.
Enhance.
This
Enhance.
thing is so what? Like Hollywood movie.
CSI. CSI. Come. Enhance.
Cha-ching!
What's that? Oh.
You
Okay.
see-
Okay.
Okay, for the benefit of those listening on a podcast who has no visual, I shall describe the two pictures. The first picture shows three girls with very nice legs sitting on stairs. Their face has been edited out, and it shows a black background, nothing peculiar. The second photograph that I've just now zoomed in shows enhanced lighting. You can see the lights are all brighter. But what's peculiar is there seemed to be, as what the confessor has said, a woman with part of a shoulder showing. But what's clear to me is the eyes and the mouth that's open up in like a silent scream. Like, you see that?
Yeah.
So this was the photograph that they sent in, and bless the boyfriend who says, "Don't delete, send to Supernatural Confessions."
Wow. It's quite fascinating. I mean, it's very clear when you enhance it.
Hmm.
You know, that's for sure. The face looks a little bit like the Scream mask,
Hmm.
right? You know, in the sense that the eyes are quite small, but the mouth is really huge and stretched. I don't see a toga though.
And you can
Why does
because the
why does
toga is
everyone
like,
say toga?
because it shows like one strap on one side of the shoulder and the other side of the
That's
shoulder
not
is
toga.
bare.
That's not toga.
Okay, like off shoulder lah.
If it's off shoulder, okay, you know what it looks like to me or not? It looks like a samfu because it's the buttons are on the right side, right? You see that white stripe, right? That is not her shoulder being bared. It is actually the hem of the samfu,
Ah,
right? Because you button on the side, ma.
you know
You know,
what
and
it looks
usually
like to me
the
now?
hem is a different color, so it's like a ma zeh, that kind of outfit. That's
Mm.
what I'm seeing.
Amagos.
Amagos. Okay, I don't know. It could be.
Could it
I
also
kept,
be a penanggal? Like you see the head and the
Huh?
entrails.
and
No lah.
why her entrail all hanging one side?
Because she's moving, what? Then the wind blow.
No law. If she's moving, then you won't catch her so sharp, law. Her face is certainly still.
Anyway, penanggal
I
is
mean,
solid. It's
you
not
can sort of see that there's a whole blackness below. So I think she got body lah. Got
got
body.
body.
Lah. Yeah, and if it's penanga, I'm sure I'm sure her intestines will be much more sizable than just one white strip
And
there.
I would say this hantu actually is quite a looker. I think she has a potential to be actually quite good looking.
I am much more haunted by the fact that the three girls sitting on the stairs have no facial features. Sekali she tells you, "Oh no, we didn't edit the faces out." We have no
Yeah.
faces. Okay.
Ah.
That's quite spooky. I mean, it's quite rare to see such a clear image.
Hmm.
I must say. But also, who took the photo?
Oh no, they came in a group, like a group of 4 or 5. So it's just that these 3 girls wanted to take the photo together.
And the person who took the photo didn't sense anything.
No,
I guess.
they all
That's very suspicious.
party
Also,
already.
that's very suspicious.
Yeah,
Where is this?
along
What's
the
that red?
boardwalk, Sentosa
What's
boardwalk.
that red thing in the background? Is that the like that clock towery looking thing that's on the boardwalk? Wow,
No,
I'm
no,
trying to
no.
locate the location. Okay, I want to go to the boardwalk and find this location. Okay, using this picture. Okay, and then go and like take a few photos there and see what happens. Okay,
Hmm.
so please feel free to try this out. Those of you who live near Sentosa. Okay, uh, please find out. Okay, if you can spot the location and then go and gather 2 friends and take some Wi-Fi's there.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens. Right.
Abun is asking why so late still there, yeah? Because the countdown, they did a New Year's Day countdown, so they were there.
Yeah. So obviously after midnight, right?
Mm.
Okay, the boyfriend must have taken a photo lah. That must be it. That must be it. But
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know why that thing would be there unless
Mm.
the thing was also celebrating your countdown lah. You know. Wow. Okay. Okay. I
So
wish I had better Photoshop equipment. Then
your
I will try
story
this
about
out. Mm.
Sentosa, your experience, John.
Yeah. So back to Mount Imbiah.
Mm.
Okay. So I mean, Imbiah, we were told lah. Okay, when we chose the location, is quite scary, right? And the best verification of that sort of superstition is the fact that there was already an organization running activities on Imbiah, which is Megazip. Right, some of you will have heard of them, right? The Megazip company is located there on top of the hill, and they make it very clear that all activities must end by 6, and the staff is usually gone, right, by 7 plus. Okay, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so of course it was perfect for us because once they leave, then we take over the hill, lah. Okay, but it was super spooky because the entire Mount Imbiah, although it is a public path, there's a nature trail there. There are some really nice paths around the hill, but they are not lit. Okay, if you go up Mount Imbiah from the foot of the hill, the car park is the last lighting you will see, and then the whole hill is left in darkness, as if to discourage people from walking the paths at night. Because if there are paths that are lit, of course, people will go and stroll, right?
Mm.
It's not far. It's not far from Madame Tussauds. It's not far from the monorail station. So it's a good stroll. But because you look up the hill and you see absolute darkness, no one's going there, right? So that's a super effective way of keeping people away. But we, of course, are very gian, right? So our show was entirely set in the darkness. Okay, the audience moves around with torches, and my poor actors spend the whole night hiding in dark corners, hiding in bushes, right, hiding behind trees, in order to do the things, right?
Mm.
So I mean, I'm not as pantang as some others, okay, but there were people in my cast, at least 3 of them, who have the sight,
Mm.
right? And I only started hearing about these because they were just chatting casually, right? Like every time we are, doing our pre-show check and then sharing makan together, right? And then they will say, last night she was watching. Then I'm like, oh, who was watching? Your friend? And, oh no, kakak. Then I'm like, are you telling me that kakak Miss P Pontiana is watching the show? And they say, yeah. She was watching, and I say, okay. Did she like it?
Did she? Yeah. Did she leave a
Right.
review?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a director, right? I want to know, right? Was it appreciated?
Mm.
And I kept asking, right? And so I think slowly they became more aware that it was important to get her feedback. so
Mm.
so when they encountered her again, or they saw her again, or they noticed her, they would actually try to sense her mood, right? Rather than just go, oh, she's watching, ignore her, right? They actually try to sense her mood, and it was positive. They were very sure that she was not disapproving. So that's very good, right? In
Mm.
fact, one of the girls who was watched the most was one of those who was playing her character, playing her lah, right? So I think she was particularly interested in how she does it, and I think she was amused, okay, because she never gave the vibe of antipathy or negativity.
Mm.
It was always very interested. And I won't say she was a fan, but I think she approves lah. So that's quite good. Now on top of Mount Imbiah, there's also like I mentioned, the gun battery, right?
Mm.
So there's a there was for many years there was a British presence there. So naturally, supernaturally speaking, there's also a British presence there,
Mm.
right? Apart from Miss P lah.
Mm.
And unfortunately, he didn't do much, right? The only time he ever appeared was at the opening of the sort of gate of Megazip, where there's a portable toilet. You know those blue portable toilets, right?
Mm.
Which was designated for our use and for the public to use. And during the first week that we were there, we started night rehearsals.
Mm.
Right, one of the guys came by and said, "Hey guys, don't use the blue toilet, huh?" And we said, "Why not? There's a British soldier waiting outside." And that's it. From then on, we were all holding our pee for the whole night. Okay, like 4 hour stretch. Okay, nobody wants to pee because nobody wants to have the British soldier watching you
Mm.
while you pee. So yeah. So I mean, it's a very very spooky place. Do go and check it out for yourselves. Okay, I mean there were many more casual sightings, but I like the fact that all of the sightings were treated very casually.
What do
You
you mean
know,
treated casually? Like, oh, by the way,
by all
British
of us.
soldiers standing
Yeah,
there.
it was all
Hello.
by the way. Yeah, just don't use
Okay.
the toilet. None of us were like avoiding the area. You know, when we walked past, we didn't even look for him or anything. We were like, okay, I'm just not going to use the toilet because it will be awkward. You know, but we were not
Mm.
scared. I don't know why. Maybe because in such a we were such a gang. You know, and we sort of
Mm.
felt protected together. Maybe it was because we already knew that we had approval somehow,
Mm.
right? We were protected. We did some rituals before every night show, you know, so I don't think that we were unwelcome or we were trespassing, you know.
Mm.
And the show in fact was, I feel, very respectful and you know, tried to honor
It's
the
true.
memory,
Yes,
you know. So yeah, you saw the show.
I did. And
Tell us.
for those of us, for those of you watching and wondering how did Jonathan and Eugene get to know each other, I know Jonathan. Jonathan didn't know me from before because I'm a big fan of Chestnut, and
Yeah.
I see Jonathan on stage every other year. So there's one time, I
Mm.
think when you were running that show, what's it called again?
Cursed
Curse, right? With a
with
K,
the
right?
K.
Mm.
Cursed.
So John, I was already running Supernatural Confessions. I got this message from John. It says, "Hey, I'm running this program called Curse.
Mm.
Should we do a collab or something to that effect?" And I happily called him back and said, "Yeah, I want to go and check it out. You know, thank you for the invite." And I was actually the first batch or the second batch to actually watch it. Was
Mm.
it second day? I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Quite early
The
in the run.
preview batch, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because you're my partner. I'm saying this because I totally enjoyed it from the start to the finish. It was so immersive, and a part of me in my head, because I was so pantang,
Mm.
uh, especially you talk about the Penanggal scene when things I didn't know how the
Ah.
hell he was flying outside, and I was in a group with macho men beside me, uni boys. This tall guy was holding onto my shoulder and hiding behind me. It was so spooky, and we were all very rattled because it felt very real. So I was always pushed to the front. And these were strangers, mind you, right? As strangers. And one of the scene where the girl was possessed and we had to pin her leg down. So it's actually the
Mm.
first time in a horror house setting, we get to touch the actor. And
Mm.
we weren't sure how much pressure to push because we know she's an actor, but she
Mm.
was not playing. She was kicking and all. She was really acting as a possessed character would. She wasn't playing
Mm.
trying to be safe, and we were using body weight to pin her down. And
Mm.
after the whole show, because I was looking at it from a producer's mind, I was like, "Wow, how she's everyone have to tekan her down? Will she be bruised at the end of it?" But more
Mm.
importantly, because I was also pantang,
Mm.
I was wondering when we put out a show like that and we are
Mm.
talking about the Hantu Tete, the Penanggal, the
Mm.
possessed character, would
Yeah.
this not attract spirits
Mm.
to affect the show? Because we have heard in the previous confession, things will go
Mm.
off, light will go off, lift cannot open. Did anything like that happen to you where things go missing or
Mm.
scratches appear on your body?
Surprisingly, no, right? Or maybe not so surprisingly, because we know the dangers lah of this kind
Mm,
of thing, right? Both in terms of the content that we're dealing with,
mm,
right, which will invite a lot of curiosity, right?
mm,
But also the place we're doing it, right?
mm,
So our ritual helped, right? You know, and our ritual was a very generic ritual. It was just joss and some food offerings,
mm,
and it was made to the Tutishan,
mm,
okay, because we were counting on the fact that the Tutishan would help us look after everything else,
mm,
right? Help to placate. You know, I mean, I cannot, because I don't know what the various spirits are that might be here. I cannot choose something specific. So I can only choose someone who can be our diplomat, our representative, right? And say, okay, if you are the Tutishan here, then you just help us jagala, and if anyone's offended, let us know lah. But beforehand, we also made sure that the cast. So in casting this, I was quite sensitive, right? One of the it's a very rare thing. You don't hear this in auditions, but when we auditioned, it was very important for me to know their supernatural history.
What do you mean?
So anyone who say from childhood, I always got vision, I always gonna possess, or that no, you cannot be in my show. Okay, if you are the prone to possession type, then no, you will become a major burden during the show, right? In fact, because the possession was a Malay style possession, right? It was a hantu possession, right? We made sure that the girl playing it was not Malay.
So
So
there
she
are
she
things in
has
place lah.
yeah. It was important that her psychologically playing it every night doesn't feel affected by it, right? If she's grown up with a whole law of Malay possession in her head, that's it lah. It will get to her sooner or later. She will start having nightmares. All so I chose someone who actually was Christian, right, and had no knowledge or interest of these possessions. I told her, don't start researching, don't add this, don't give yourself an additional burden, right? Come to this clear, come to this pure, do it as an artist, right? Because I want you to be fully immersed, but I want you to be safe. And along the way, as we rehearsed and all that, we always made sure that there are sort of our safety valves lah, and we made sure no one waits alone. There's always someone with you, so that you don't allow yourself to go into a place of absolute fear, and then you open your mind. You become susceptible to these things. They always felt safe.
Okay.
And that was important.
So psychologically, you take care of it first lah.
Yeah, the first protection is the person themselves, right? If they are susceptible, you cannot stop. You cannot stop things from happening. They will in fact, we know they will attract things. But when the spirits know that these actors are not easy to not easy to
It's a
disturb,
layer of protection already.
then they just can't be bothered already. Then they just watch the show, right? So that was what we hoped would happen, and we are lucky in the sense that they were watching, they were present, but they did leave us alone, pretty much. Some people were saying, please bring it back. Actually, I would love to bring it back. So I don't know, maybe SC can produce it.
We would
Ooh.
love. Okay. A lot of things we want to do. We want to do books and all that.
So it depends on how much money we can raise. Okay? So please contribute.
Ezekiel says, and he made a donation as well to pop up this text box.
Yes, I saw.
Port Connaught, the forgotten one. I think that's the one under
the golf course.
Golf course.
And that's the one that maybe is only available when Heritage Board wants to open it.
Serapong's on the hill. So Connaught is under the...
Thank you for reminding us.
Yeslin says, thanks for the interesting contents every week.
Thanks for the donation. Yay.
Yes. And I want to address, John Doe has some questions. Good questions, by the way. But I think he was, spamming the chat. And so people were being annoyed with him. So I want to address John Doe's question, because I think this is a question that a lot of people have. We covered this in previous episodes as well. Why Angmo don't see Asian ghosts and Asian don't see Angmo ghosts? Our belief is that what we see with our eyes, our mind's eye, is really based on our belief system and what is fearful to us. If I see a ghost in Victorian outfit carrying a head, I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to be more amused. And also in our psyche, that doesn't translate to fear. So whether the hantu really looks like a Pontianak, long white gown, long hair, or a phantom with no head, it's an energy signature that our mind creates an image for us to understand what that fear is. And you also find in various culture, like in South America, they have different names for different demon character, which you can then draw references to. Actually, Hindu demons also have that kind of description, but a different name. So different culture would have represented their hantu in a different way, and as humans, we perceive something based on what triggers our fear the most. Have I answered that?
Amok Do agrees with you, okay, and used €5 to agree with you, okay.
Thank you, Amok Do.
He says, I think ghosts are culture based. I live in Italy. Very few ghost stories because people don't really believe, and that's exactly it, right? A lot of people, I think, can sense that there might be a signature there might be some energy going around, it might be negative, whatever, but because you don't have any shall we say, okay, let's say you have no what's the word, what's the name of that thing that they use on Instagram stories, filters, right? It's because you have no filters, that thing cannot take shape.
Yep.
Right? And your filters are determined by your cultural upbringing, right? So if you are used to seeing or hearing about Miss P and Pontianak and all that, then it's easy for you to give that energy of a shape, right? If you are Chinese, you will see that, right? If you are something else, you will see something else. And if you don't believe in any of these things, then you got no filter. So you might be sensing something, an entity, but the entity has there's no image for you.
Correct. And I
Yeah.
actually spoke to a friend today, Trey Ho, also a fan of the show and an old friend of mine. He was suggesting, he heard this from somebody else. It's along the lines of, it's going to be a long conversation. I'm just trying to crunch it down, right? It's along the lines of, if the tree fell in the forest and no one sees it, the tree will already fall. Again, if you're a non-believer, you just, John used the word filter, you aren't able to see it because it doesn't connect to what your mind needs to project to understand. But
Correct.
if you collectively, everyone in this room believe that the room is haunted, it starts to manifest. So energy is given that vibration because of belief. And I think to some degree, that's what faith really is. When you go to a place of worship and you all collectively worship and believe in the same thing, it creates that vibration for things to happen.
Correct. That's why you get, again, to go back to the possession actor that you were talking about, right? You know, because she's a Christian and she wasn't even born in Singapore, she's not raised in Singapore. So she really has no Melayu filters. She has no sense of these hantu and these bomo and all that. It was fascinating and interesting to her, but objectively only.
Yes.
So she's the safest person to then immerse herself in the role as an actor without immersing her belief, you know, and her sense of reality. You know, she can hang on very clearly to, sorry, I'm a Christian. None of this makes religious sense to me. So I just do as an actor.
Exactly.
That's the best protection. Yeah.
So,
you know,
now, before we go on to the next confession, I want to remind everyone that if you or someone you know have a encounter, well, the place to send it to is supernaturalconfessions.com. Supernatural Confessions was created as a safe space for people to share their paranormal encounters. If you or someone you know has a strange encounter to share, we want to hear about it. You can type it to us, send us a voice memo, or even meet me for a face-to-face interview.
I don't wanna get in trouble.
Visit supernaturalconfessions.com for more info.
But every time I hear you laugh, I get into trouble.
Okay. I think the next confession would be my turn. This
Yes.
one is...
Oh, I like this one.
You like it, huh?
It's one of my favorite tropes, okay? But it updates the trope. So as you hear the story, see if you can guess which kampong trope it refers to, all right? Special prize goes to the one who can name the trope, okay? But it's very modern. Okay, can't wait.
Unexpected Passenger Confession by Hardy J. It was in late 2017. My team and I were managing an event at 1 degree 15 in Sentosa. It was midnight when we finished our event, and by the time we dismantled the structure and packed up, it was almost 1:30 a.m. We loaded our stuff in a lorry and my boys drove off first. I walked to my car alone. It was about 2 a.m. by that time, and I was feeling uneasy as if something or someone was following me. I muttered a silent prayer and tried to calm my nerves. I was tired and all I wanted to do was go home, shower, and sleep. I got to my car safe and sound, gunned the engine, and drove off. While driving out of 1 degree 15, suddenly, a white figure landed on the left side of my car bonnet. It was just sitting there with its back towards me. I can see her black long hair and her back. I didn't stop the car. I kept driving. I could feel my car slowing down as if I'm carrying something extremely heavy. I was driving at 60 km per hour, but it felt like I'm driving at 30 kilometers per hour. My heart started to pound in my chest. From sleepy, I was suddenly wide awake. I thought to myself, please, 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 please don't turn around. Please don't turn around and look at me. I quickly played some Quranic verses from Al-Barak, Surah Yasin. The white figure flew off into the night and disappeared. Prayed in my heart that it wouldn't follow me. Classic. Classic horror movie.
Classic. So the kampong trope that where I'm talking about, of course, if all of you have heard these old stories, is the famous cycling through the field, right? Or cycling down a street, and then suddenly you feel your bicycle heavier and heavier and heavier, right?
Mm.
And that is because you have a passenger. But this one even better, right? Just squat on the car. It's like, wow, really boss. Doesn't even bother to get in the car. Okay, just squat on your car,
Yeah.
you know. And in fact, it reminds me of another very famous urban legend, right? And this is truly an urban legend because how do you test it as urban legend? It actually exists in different countries, but it's the same scenario, right? Where the Pontianak will land on top of a car that's been stalled or that's been broken down, and then for some reason it is banging with the person's head. That one,
Oh,
right?
the
It's
urban
so famous
legend.
that it's
Yes.
even in Urban Legends, the movie,
Mm,
right? The
mm,
Hollywood film, but
mm,
it's also famous in Asia because it was I first heard it as a Malaysian highway story.
yes.
It will happen on the highway to KL.
Mm.
Then when I saw the American movie, I'm like, bloody hell, who stole the story from who? So hard to say where it begins, okay? But their case was a murderer. It was not a hantu. Our case was a hantu, right? So whatever lah, someone squats on your car. So I love that image, right? But I'm amazed that it didn't turn around. So what was it trying to do? Was it actually just taking a lift? It was
Sounds
not
like
even
it.
interested. Yeah, he's like, I don't even want to look at you. Okay, I'm not here for you. I just tired of walking. Are you heading towards wherever?
Yeah, just tumpang only.
So that's quite funny. That's quite funny because the shuttle bus service ends at a certain time. So it's very kanko if you're a spirit. Do you think it was Miss P?
Well, it sounds like Miss P.
Who
Long
else could
black
it be,
hair
right?
and white
Mm.
gown.
Yeah.
It's in fact in the story he called her Kaka, and I didn't put the Kaka
Okay.
in because again it's an
Mm.
assumption that it's a Pontianak, and our foreign listeners may not know what the hell this Kaka is. So,
But then if it was a Chinese person telling the story, driving the car, you could also imagine it's your standard Chinese girl. Because you know how the Chinese girl spirit always
yeah lah,
wants a lift, right?
the
Always want to
Chinese
take
ghost story,
taxi.
right? The
Yeah.
long
Or
suchi.
no, it's the one that has no transport. She's the one who flagged down the motorcyclist, flagged down the uncle driving taxi, right? And everywhere lah in Sembawang Road, all because all these ghosts need transport also. So I think that's something important, right? Is her flying ability limited? Someone's asking. Yeah, exactly, right? Because Chinese ghosts cannot fly lah. Only Miss P can fly. If it's Chinese girl with long hair, no, she needs help. So so fascinating. I think the big theme tonight is about culture and ghosts. I think that's very interesting. That should be an episode on its own one
Yeah,
day.
culture
You
and
know?
ghosts. Okay lah, can
Yeah,
I'll go and find.
because someone asked right about skinwalkers, right? I think
Navinet.
John Doe was asking.
Was it?
Navinet
Okay.
was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Asians don't believe in skinwalkers simply because it's a very American idea, right? Originating from the Native American folk tales of skinwalkers, and then of course made very popular by conspiracy theories, but fundamentally the idea of a skinwalker makes little sense to Asians because
There's no
the whole
ranch.
point number one, there's no ranch, but also because the whole point of the skinwalker is wow, this thing can change form, right? It can take on shape. But to Asians it's like, yeah, of course they do. That's what they do.
All our
All
hunters can take our shit. What?
correct. So if you are a skinwalker, you'll be like, and then can you do anything interesting?
Like I see a bunch of Chinese and Asians sitting there and a skinwalker come in, start to change from it. Like that only.
Like
可以
that
吃的吗？可以 not?
Yeah, any special skills?
Yeah.
So skinwalking is normal lah in
Mm.
Asia. But yes, maybe it's a bit hoo-ha in America, So it is really cultural. It is really cultural, right? And it's quite interesting to me that the fact that we see so many things and we connect them in a different way, right? It's like Pontianak, oh, she can be a bird. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, Whereas you never hear, like, let's say a banshee, which is a close equivalent to a Pontianak in the West. She doesn't get to be a bird. She's forever a banshee.
Yeah.
So it really depends culturally what kind of supernatural gifts are given to these spirits, right? And in
Mm,
Asia, definitely they are more versatile, lah.
mm.
So that's something to be
Okay,
proud of. Okay.
I got one confession that just came in
Oh,
today.
wow.
It's about Angmo who did not believe in Asian curses or Asian. I was not familiar, not did not believe, not familiar with the Asian law, but he
Ah.
kena an Asian curse,
Oh,
and it affected him
okay.
until he decided to go for help some way, some form, and then he was told this curse was from Thailand, and
Ah.
yeah. So, but I'll say that for the cultural exchange lah, the cultural
Yeah,
exchange
yeah.
episode.
Or when we're just doing curses,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Very
So I want to
interesting.
thank Chua Elaine for your lovely, generous contribution. Says, don't have filters, then can see all kinds of entities.
Yeah,
Free for all.
that one is sway lah. Okay, if you have that one is when you have all filters.
Oh, you got Humpty, you chicken shit, you scared. Everything also frighten you. Everything also
Yeah.
come for you after that.
That one poor thing. Okay.
Mm.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Yeah.
No lah. I mean, quite frankly, it is quite interesting to imagine ghosts traveling to foreign situations, right? Someone
Mm.
mentioned like Miss Penanggal in Europe and all that, because they will be so freaked to see the Penanggal.
Yeah.
It won't even be a haunting. It will just drive you crazy. Full stop.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, because the concept alone is unthinkable.
Yeah.
All right. So I think it's quite challenging to someone should do a series about like all these traveling spirits.
Donnie
You
is
know?
asking if some of the chatters can come online to read out the confessions. I will
Ooh.
try. The reason for this is technical wise, we have to prepare the chatter to come online
Aiyo.
before the actual confession to stand by, because it's not like I click a
Yeah.
button and you all have, like, call now 6100 GENE, then that, but
Just just to get the two of us here sharing the screen already, you must pray to the gods all. So
speaking of
it
speak
takes
to
so
the
much
gods, John.
so much pai to make sure that my mic stays on. I can see Eugene, I can hear.
Remember last
Yeah.
time when we used to run Ghost Mortem and we used to run Friday Night Live, and there was
Ah.
always technical error, always.
Correct.
And when I
Yeah.
run the same setup with other non-supernatural confession content, no problem,
Mm.
right? And now, remember somebody was suggesting I should go and sage and pai and all that.
Mm.
I have crystals, I got prayer beads, I got everything here. Thai lah, Muslim, Malay, wood and everything. Hindu, forgot what this is called. Rajuska beads, is it?
Wow.
Got my Egyptian one. Crystal, I got my fairy.
Walao.
Yeah. So no problem, right? No tech problem, right?
No that problem.
So must be the hantu.
Okay. Maybe this is the strongest proof that it must be the hantu. Okay, Karina, thank you. I have nothing to say, just sending love. Thank you, Karina.
Oh,
Yay. $14.98 of love. I like.
wow, there's KK also. A uni mate
Oh.
got third eye during our
Ah.
Dragon Trail night walk. During orientation camp, she counted strength of the freshmen and counted one more.
What's
One more
this?
better than
What's
less
this?
lah.
Ah.
I'll take
Why-
one more than less than one.
Yeah, what Dragon Trail is this? I want to know.
Sentosa Dragon Trail.
Oh, that one with the cement dragon sculpture there
the
lah.
middle one, go all the way
Yeah,
down.
I remember that. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Elaine also says don't have filter. Oh, okay. That one said already. Thank
Ah.
you. Thank you for your donation, Elaine. Wow. Okay.
Mm.
Dragon Trail. Fascinating. Okay, so back to Sentosa. Okay, we've
Mm.
traveled the whole world already. Okay, let's come back to Sentosa. Okay.
Eugene has gone full John Constantine. Alrighty. Okay. Where were we?
Okay.
I think we got time for one more confession, John. You want to read this
It's
one?
the best one. Cannot end the night without this one. Okay,
This
it's,
one very
it's
short
both Eugene and my favorite.
Okay, wait. Choto mate. Let me set you up for this one.
Mm,
This one.
Okay.
Possession in
Who's it by?
Sentosa Chalet. This one is from a Lao Jiao regular.
Oh.
Tian Raihan.
Wow.
She gave us one of the best 2019 confessions. Go and check her out.
Mm.
Okay. John, take it away.
It was in the early 2000s. My best friend had her 21st birthday bash at a chalet in Sentosa near Tanjong Beach. Close friends and family were invited, and most of us stayed overnight. To get to the chalet, we had to walk quite a bit from the main beach area, and the path to the chalet was very dark and barely lit. Basically, if the chalet was not in use, You would not be able to see it easily because it was nestled in between a lot of trees. As I was walking to the chalet with my then boyfriend, I was already quite creeped out and remarked at how ulu this chalet was. When we arrived, it was already about 9 p.m. and the party was in full swing with barbecue and all. Some of us decided to play some rugby as the chalet had a large lawn and the chalet itself was surrounded by thick foliage and tall trees. As we were playing and being rowdy, we could all hear loud rustling in the trees, but we dismissed it as some animal in the trees who was disturbed by the ball accidentally being thrown into the trees or near the trees several times. After all, the rustling happened on and off. Eventually, we got tired and sat at a picnic table, and we left the rugby ball somewhere near the trees. We chatted and laughed until one of my guy friends, let's call him Ifan, pointed out to my girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, to look at the ball that we had left there. We all turned to look and saw the ball rolling upwards. The ball was left on an area where it was sloping downwards, and the ball rolling upwards against gravity was definitely abnormal. We all fell silent. Then Ifan pointed and jokingly said to Sarah, your friend is here. We were all damn pissed and scolded him because you're not supposed to acknowledge its presence. We didn't feel comfortable anymore being outdoors, so some of us decided to go in and sleep since it was already 2 a.m. plus. We all slept on the floor in the living room of the chalet with whatever cushions, pillows, and blankets we could find. Sarah slept next to her boyfriend, while my bestie, the birthday girl, was sandwiched between Sarah and me. Some of the guys slept near our feet, and some slept closer to the main sliding door and dining area. We all dozed off, and I suddenly woke up at about 3 plus a.m. and saw that my bestie was also awake. She giggled and whispered to me that she was awakened by Sarah because she was moaning. She asked me to peep over her shoulder and see if Sarah and her boyfriend were making out or doing anything. I peeped over and I saw Sarah and her boyfriend sleeping. We giggled a bit because we thought that they were pretending to sleep. Both of us just stayed awake. We then heard Sarah moaning really loudly, and we sniggered, thinking that they were getting it on. I peeped over again, and again I saw Sarah and her boyfriend sound asleep. We sniggered to ourselves again. Then we heard Sarah moan loudly again, and this time both of us looked at Sarah, and we saw her shaking. But her boyfriend was sound asleep next to her. Our first thought was Sarah was having a fit. My bestie tapped Sarah on the shoulder and asked if she was okay. No response. Then Sarah suddenly moaned and began shaking again, and her hands curled up and her feet pointed and stiffened. My bestie kept tapping and calling her name to wake her up, but Sarah would not wake up. We woke up Sarah's boyfriend to see if he could help her or if he knew if she had any medical condition. He tried waking her up too, but still she would not wake up. By this time, quite a few of our other friends had woken up because of the commotion. Ifan took one look at her and said, "She looks like she's being possessed in her sleep." We all scolded him again for acknowledging the presence earlier when the ball rolled upwards and told him it was his fault if she was really possessed. Ifan said he knows what to do. He went to get some water and muttered some prayers into it and spread the water over her face and prayed over her. She kept moaning loudly with her body shaking but fully stiffened from head to toe. After some time, he then pulled one of her big toes while saying some prayers. This must have helped because Sarah's body eventually went limp. We laid her down again, and he washed her face with more of the water and tapped her face to wake her. She finally came to and told us what happened. She said she had a dream that she was being chased by an entity, and she was screaming and trying her best to run away from this entity. The entity told her if it caught her, she was doomed. She felt damn tired, but knew that she had to continuously run to escape the entity. In her dream, she said she was screaming and saying prayers very loudly, but it continued to chase her. At one point, she could hear us calling her name, but just could not respond. She knew she couldn't move her body, and her moaning was actually her screaming. It was already around 6 a.m. when she finally snapped out of it. Imagine screaming for a good 3 or 4 hours, but nobody can hear you. Ifan inadvertently brought the entity home with him, but he pulled it out through her big toe. His parents stopped him dead in his tracks outside his house because they said they could see it following behind him. They called an ustad who finally got rid of the entity. Needless to say, Ifan felt quite bad for bringing it upon Sarah that night. Those chalets are no longer being rented out and apparently used for other purposes now. Hmm.
Like me, a classic chalet story. Love it.
Yeah. Okay, what I really love though is the big toe. Right, because that's such a specific ritual, right? You know, and I think it's unique to Malay exorcisms,
Big toe.
right? I don't see the Pope's exorcist pulling on your big toe, you know.
Chinese believe that the ghost will be under your feet. So if you're tiptoeing, it means you're
Yeah.
possessed. For the
Correct.
Muslim, is you extract the spirit from the big toe.
I wonder if it's important if it's left or right toe.
And also because the feet, this is from my Peranakan grandmother, right? The spirit enters your body through the sole of your feet.
Correct. Yes. Because you are earthed, right? You're connected to the earth there. So the spirit,
I've not heard this for a long while. So yes, I like this one.
It's nice. This is classic in so many ways, right? It's classic because it's a chalet. It's classic because you disturb the spirit, you know, in the bushes, you know, and they had warning, right? The spirit was already giving you warning, right? So unfortunately, and okay, do you believe it was really Ifan mentioning the spirit that caused the
I
trouble?
think it was just a coincidence. And when Ifan mentioned it, Ifan was obviously brave. He's not concerned. But it may have caused Sarah to be fearful. And
then she become vulnerable.
So if she didn't see, she don't know, she's ignorant. She's not. Maybe she's already of all everyone there, she's probably the weakest link. But for her to acknowledge, think, opens up a gateway for the entity to welcome.
I mean that's why the pantang, right, is always there. If you see, please don't say, right? It's mainly because you might make someone so fearful that they become available for the hantu to disturb,
I want
right?
to tell you my own chalet story as well. Sentosa,
okay,
I think might be the same place. But before that, let me thank
shit. Okay.
Forest SG for the donation as well. And we have I saw one green box away.
Ying Chong.
Any thoughts on this idea? Entities that exist is purely based on how I will address that in a while. More believers, more power, because I've done an experiment. I shared this before. I've done an experiment where people's collective belief has affected the outcome, but maybe that will be before we end off.
Sure.
So in that area where she talked about the chalet, I think it might be the same location where it was near the parade square.
The parade square. What parade square is this?
There was a parade square where people urban legend was legend has it that you can hear marching sound at night.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And it has also been converted into a hotel or a chalet type thing. And Elvin, our featured confessor tonight, has also mentioned something about that hotel, or that area rather, not the hotel. And because it's not part of the main Wax Museum confession, I did not include it in this confession, but I may just put it in as a B-side.
No. The parade square in front of Madame Tussauds. Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm not sure. It's near this it's on your left. There's a hotel. Is Azora, Aremsa, Amarasa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the right side.
Okay.
Amara Resort on the right
okay.
side. So left you go Amara, right you go to this.
Okay.
We used
So what
to
happened?
have parties there. People used to have parties there. It was a warehouse converted. It's been used for so many things. During my stay there, I was probably in my early 20s. One of my friend who was very, very decent, she's like the churchy type, can hold one glass of cranberry vodka for the whole night. Just
basically not like you lah. Okay.
more like you and soya bean type one lah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's one time when she was there, we felt that she was possessed because she was acting, giggling, and her behavior was very
Uncharacteristic.
uncharacteristic of her,
Hmm.
almost very sexual in nature.
Oh, okay.
And after the incident, we didn't think much about it. We thought, okay, lah, probably just she couldn't hold a drink, or she just it
Mm.
was. I mean, there was alcohol in the party, and you know how alcohol make people behave that way.
Mm.
But after that incident, and incidents after, and parties after that, we
Mm.
hear a recurring theme about a horny ghost, a ghost who possess people
Mm.
and start touching other people. And
Mm.
why all this comes into one big circle, and I figured that what I experienced was possibly supernatural in nature, was
Mm.
there's one person who challenged his spirit and says, "Hey, stop doing this, stop playing." And he goes like, and the person spoke
Mm.
out in almost a different voice and says, "I'm not done playing yet." So there
Ooh.
seemed to be a spirit there who would possess the body of uh, women
Mm.
and start getting a bit randy and touching people and everything. Again, maybe this may
Right.
or may not be the same spirit, but I hear she says moaning, 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 and I kind of like maybe it might be the same kind
Mm.
of spirit.
Interesting.
But
I mean,
what stands
the
out for
the
me for this story that was
ah
really scary was 4
ah
hours
correct.
screaming.
Yeah. Mm. I mean, okay, the connection that you're seeing is the possibility that there's something seductive, or something lascivious, right?
Mm,
With the flirting on there. But I think, I mean, the Diane herself says, right, that she thinks that the moaning was because she was trying to scream,
mm, mm, mm,
right? And all that can come out is moaning, right?
mm.
So yeah, well, okay, I don't know lah. I don't know how the moaning sounds lah. Okay, clearly when the moaning first began, both she and her bestie thought, oh, got funny business
Yeah,
happening on,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it took a while for them to figure out that that sounds more like pain than pleasure. Then don't know lah. So who knows? Who knows, right? Yeah. I mean, clearly Diane and her bestie were having sexy thoughts. That's why they I mean, right, if it's most SC people, the moment you hear moaning, straight away like ghost. you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, clearly their mind was on other things,
Mm,
Yeah, but I mean it's quite charming because every time you go to chalet, right? I think you are very uninhibited.
mm,
Right, you're in the kind of company that makes you relax, your friends, right? No parents, no chaperone, then got alcohol, got all that thing. So it is a very ripe place
mm.
for people to become vulnerable, right? So, not surprising. But then again, this is not a chalet hantu, right? It was something in the trees in her case, right?
Yeah.
And someone has pointed out where this thing. So it is the Amara Sanctuary
That's
Spa.
the one. Yeah. That's on the left side. If you go up the
Oh,
hill, the parade square is on the right
ah,
side.
oh, I see. Okay, okay.
Mm.
So feel free to go there and see whether you start touching yourself, and moaning, no, lah, don't lah.
Yeah.
It's wow. Okay, okay. I do like this thing. I do like. I mean, okay. Ifan is that sort of super convenient kind of the friend among the group who just happens to be experienced exorcist,
Mm.
and and that's very nice. So I think you should never go on a chalet without someone who can exorcise spirits lah.
Come chalet with John and I lah. Very safe one.
I mean, imagine, right? This story only ended well because Ifan was there,
Mm.
right? Imagine if
But
Ifan
the thing
was not
followed
there.
Ifan back, and you see now if you look
True,
at
true. Yeah,
Ifan's
so he
family,
kena, he kena. Yeah, yeah,
Ifan's
yeah.
family is not Jantan, that's how Ifan knows,
Yeah. Yeah. They got the
So
ustad on
they got
on
Ustad
on,
on
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 speed
speed dial,
dial. Or
so
yeah.
Irfan probably knows how to protect himself, but even then he can't
Mm,
see what was attached to him, and he brought it home.
true. Yeah. Only his parents could see. Right. So like,
That
wow,
could have ended very badly for Irfan.
that's also very true.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it to me that sounds like something quite old,
Mm.
something quite powerful, right? Something quite powerful beyond Miss P, all that kind. This is one level up. One level up, and not one of your bunyan kind of thing, because it clearly was keen to travel, right? It wasn't protecting a space or
It
something. It
could be
wanted to go somewhere,
a
and it
gym.
was kind of playing game. This is interesting. So what she heard in her dream,
Mm.
right, was that if I catch you, you're doomed.
Yeah.
So it's really playing with her, It's
Playing
like,
her, toying
run,
her.
run, yeah, run.
Because she's
If you can escape,
Sarah,
then you
I think is a chicken shit. The spirit
yeah,
knows.
yeah. So it was enjoying her fear, right? Enjoying her fear. That's really wicked. Wow.
I got some comments to reach out. To read
Oh,
out. Frankie, that can bear range, says
yeah.
the coast has all the right touches. And Saravanan say, I want to attend this party now. Big improvement to my love life.
Well, Chua Elaine say, no, I hear moaning, I think Saravanan. So, so what's going on here?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, sausage fest then. Sausage fest then the ghost don't bother with y'all lah. No raba raba.
Okay, Jujube says, I want Sentosa Cove Hantu story. Sorry, no Hantu can afford to haunt Sentosa
Ask
Cove.
Adora Ang. She's one of our SC community
Ah,
member. She lives in
ah,
Sentosa Cove. Ask her whether got things
ah.
on. I think
So
she told
please
me
find out.
she
Yeah.
never she confessed stories at her pet shop, but not at her house.
Ah,
So down there,
cannot lah. Sentosa Cove, too atas already
ghosts
lah.
also cannot afford lah.
Correct.
Now, one
Correct.
last one. I just want to drop this in because it's Sentosa episode. I
Oh,
have a friend who works at the old Kidzania. Now it's defunct.
okay, yes, Kidzania.
Kidzania itself, it's freaking haunted. At night, the cars can move, things can move, and they actually
Oh,
Tsing would come down clean many times.
right.
And she herself saw somebody walking into the fuselage of the aeroplane. There's only one way in and one way out. So she was chasing the things like, hey, we're going to knock off already. Why are you walking into that place? She
Right.
walked all the way to the end. No one. Sudden chill. Then she ran out.
Ooh.
Yeah. But what's interesting is like cars, because they have cars, right, for kids. At night,
Mm.
from CCTV, you can see the car moving on its own.
Oh.
That's like similar to what Ezekiel said about Port Siloso. That's why they nail everything down because things tend to move.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing is CCTV. So, this brings us full circle because I just remembered this.
Mm.
I don't know if it's true, and I do not mean to say anything about the security at USS. Okay, but I've been told that during the Halloween Horror Nights, the security guards have been known to try to avoid looking at the screens on the CCTV because they always see things.
Somebody's job is on the
During-
line now.
Yeah,
You're
so
not
I'm
doing the
not
job.
saying who. I don't know what we're talking about. Maybe you're part timers. I don't know. But is this
Mm.
true? Okay, I mean, I certainly would be very tempted
Mm.
to be less observant because of what's being observed, And in fact, I've also heard rumors that they do have spiritual masters on the island on standby during the Halloween Horror Nights
They should.
show
They should.
times. It's not just on call, but literally just standing by, like,
Yeah.
drinking kopi there.
But your
because
paramedic 10, then you got your
Yeah,
seafood
correct.
10.
Correct, because I have heard that there have been many like students and all that, right?
Mm.
Who part time do scare thing, and then easily get haunted, right? Because they have no protection, they don't
Yeah.
know anything, right? And they're so young, and I think easily susceptible, right?
Yeah.
So is it really so often and so scary? Anyone who has more experience, please let us know. And USS, don't sue us, okay?
Okay, I want to show you this. Do you know what's this?
What? What's that? From here, I cannot tell. Is it a shaker? Is it the bamboo that you make the mutton biryani in? No, okay,
Kayu
what is it?
Raja. This one also.
What's that?
Kayu Raja is used to fight off spirits.
Wow. What's
So
it made of?
Kayu
What tree
Raja
is it?
lah. It's called
Kayu
Kayu
Raja.
Raja. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I put it behind me. So this one, I'm in a very fortified. Eugene Constantine is a very fortified place.
Make sure you don't change position. Sekali everything cancel each other out.
Yeah,
you-
United Nation, okay? You got it. Okay, so I promise. Who did I promise that I will talk about the collective
John Doe.
belief? No, not John Doe. John Doe, I cannot.
Not John Doe.
he
Oh, the
kena
other
time
one.
out
The
already.
other
Now
one.
he quiet.
Yeah. I know who already.
Ying Chong, is
Okay,
it? Was it Ying Chong?
Yes. I think it was Ying Chong.
Ying Chong, yes. Okay, so
this one. Okay,
entities
tell
that
us
exist.
what the question was again.
Entities that exist is purely based on how many people believe in it. Okay.
Mm.
So there was an experiment I did where I went to a place which looks very dilapidated. It's going to get torn down. It's from a friend of mine. His family's property. And it looks horrible. So I said, it's probably haunted. I went in with my devices. There was nothing. I did not get any evidence. So I told a control group of people, I said, this is what I found. I heard knocking, I heard this, I'd seen this and this. I planted suggestions. And I wanted to see whether that makes a difference. They went down. They all heard and experienced everything that I suggested. Now, we can say for sure, I've planted a suggestion in their head, and now they were expecting to see and hear all that, and it has happened. Sure. But what's really interesting is EVP were captured, electronic voice phenomena. Doors was closing and opening as how I've described it. Now, that is a bit hard to say is a powerful suggestion. So I'm led to believe in this unofficial experimentation is that collective belief of people creates manifestation of that belief. So if everyone believes that the black hair, white gown entity is the apex predator of that particular culture and country, you would tend to see that because even if you don't believe, the collective belief has created that into reality. It's quite quantum physics lah.
I'm skeptical simply
Mm,
because right I believe in the premise of it.
mm,
I think though that it doesn't happen on such a micro level.
mm,
It cannot. I don't think that it's gonna be that easy to conjure something into happen just because a group of people believe in it,
mm,
because that belief is not deep enough.
mm,
What I do deeply believe is that over time, yes, I think over time, if generations and generations of people pass on this thing,
yeah.
right, and that fear, that superstition, that pantang becomes deep, right,
Mm,
becomes almost, I mean, literally cultural lah, right, it,
mm,
it takes root, then it has the power to, the way these things work, shape reality, right, to make an energy. So for example, if let's say, we think this forest is cursed
mm,
because it's very dark, or very whatever, and then each generation tells the next generation that this forest is cursed and this forest is cursed, this forest is cursed, that energy would start to become negative,
mm, mm,
right, because we know that things affect us and we affect things in the same way, right? It's two ways, except
mm.
that things affect us more immediately.
Yeah.
We affect things over a
Long.
long
Yeah.
time. Generations of calling a place cursed make it cursed,
Mm,
right? So yeah, so I believe that it is about um layers of culture,
mm,
sort of building up over time, right? So a spirit may be just something that you use to explain a phenomenon,
mm,
but because you tell that story and you tell that story and it spreads and it deepens, and then more and more people, because they believe it, start to think that they see it,
mm,
and that makes the belief even stronger, right? Each one verifies the next, until that it maybe the energy has taken a shape.
mm,
It's like imprint. I mean, it's a very fascinating experiment. I wonder if it was uh perhaps, was there someone in the group who had more power than
mm.
normal,
Maybe,
because
maybe.
then that person can cause that imprint to be immediate.
A bit like
you know
what's that one? That girl with the
the
five
the, the
starter. No, is it five starter that
uh
Amelia? No, Amelia. The girl
which one?
Carrie.
Gary.
Carrie.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
someone who is a vessel,
mm,
right, or is a prism, that the things you said, right, might not cause anything so immediately, but
mm,
because that particular person,
mm.
right, can sort of multiply it, and
Yeah.
that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Or it's just that a spirit heard you and decided to play a trick on
Ha
you.
ha ha. Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
11:34. One more minute to the feature confession for tonight with
Ooh, okay.
Elvin. So please go check out
So
our YouTube
exciting.
channel on this one. John, it's been great having you as always, and I always enjoy our Friday Night Live with all our, SC family. The numbers are growing up, and I think the discussions that we are having on the group chat is very intelligent. I love getting all these questions. That I think for some of these questions, what I would love to
Mm.
do is have a AMA session where we just spend a whole day answering questions, because trying to tell the confessions, dissect the confessions, and also answering
Yeah,
questions seems a bit not everyone's going to get their questions answered. Yeah.
that will last forever. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
AMA sessions will
Yeah.
never end.
Okay.
But yes, that's a good idea. I mean, we did stray away from Sentosa many times,
Mm,
But I think that's part of the fun, lah.
yeah.
I think it all is interconnected. So quite enjoyable. Quite
Okay.
enjoyable.
So let's say our goodbyes. John, any last closing statements?
I believe that you are haunted by what you think you will be haunted by. So have more faith, have less fear.
I love today's closing statement. What makes mine feel very weak in comparison? Mine's well, the greatest trick the devil has ever pulled is to convince you he doesn't exist. So
Mm,
ah, I gotta come up with new ones. Anyway, thank you so much for those of you. I've seen my WhatsApp popping up. There's people with confessions trying to reach out to me. I have not answered you, but I will answer you later. But for now, go to our featured confession. Elvin is going to give you his take on Madame Tussauds Wax Museum Haunting.
Nice.
So for Friday Night Live, my name is Eugene Tay.
I'm Jonathan Lim.
Saying goodbye. We'll see you guys next week.
What did you find? You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.